Welcome back to Mobility Matters. I'm your host, Javier Betancourt, Executive Director of the Citizens Independent Transportation Trust, or CITT. We are the quasi-independent agency of Miami-Dade County charged with overseeing your half-penny sales tax for transportation. So that half penny goes to a number of initiatives, projects, and programs. 20% of it goes to our municipal partners, distributed on a population basis. And many of our cities and the county are using our half penny funds for what we call micro transit. So this is transit that is connecting the larger transit system to that system and to places of employment, to schools, wherever people need to go. So with me today is someone in that space. We have Mike Vaccarino. Mike, welcome to the program.
Thanks. So glad to be here.
And Mike is the Chief Revenue Officer of a company called VIA. And tell us about VIA first and foremost, and a little bit about your role there.
Yeah, absolutely. So VIA is a public transit technology company. We help municipalities, transit agencies, and transit operators around the globe provide equitable, accessible, and efficient transit services, public transit services, powered by technology. And today we're working across 600 different partnerships, we call them, across the world, where we're partnered with a municipality or a public transit agency to deliver transit services within a community.
And it goes beyond just kind of micro transit, which we'll talk about in a little more detail. You also provide kind of, I don't know if you call it software or kind of back end services, things kind of under the hood, right?
Exactly.
So what are those types?
Yeah, so what we've built is a vertically integrated software platform. And what that really means is that we have software that allows planning departments to plan bus networks, to plan streetscapes, to think about the lived environment, the urban environment, and plan efficient mobility environments. We have operational software, which allows us to deliver microtransit services, paratransit services, fixed route services as well. And then we have a really robust data analytics AI platform that helps transit agencies and public transit providers make intelligent decisions about their networks.
So as an example, I believe the county used some of those services recently in coming up with the Better Bus Network, right?
Yeah, exactly. So we partner with the county on two different projects. Happy to talk about both of them. Yeah. The first one is on the planning side of things, where Miami-Dade Transit uses our Remix planning software. That software was used, exclusively to build the Better Bus Network plan and roll it out. And then the other project we work together with the county on is the Metro Connect project, which is an on-demand microtransit, public transit, shared ride, pooled service.
So great transition. So Tell us more about Metro Connect. Let's go back for a second.
Sure.
What is on-demand microtransit for those who may not know that, although I think most people do? Yeah. And then let's talk about Metro Connect specifically.
Yeah. So maybe if we take a step back, when you're planning a fixed route network, oftentimes you have to make a trade-off between coverage of that network, how many people can access that network, and frequency of that network, how often the bus comes. For a long time throughout history, that trade-off was pretty black and white. You just had to make a call. Enter microtransit. About 10 years ago, we pioneered the concept. And microtransit allows you to provide frequent coverage in areas where the bus would be underutilized or it wouldn't be efficient. And so what it ultimately means for the rider is that to use microtransit, you can either book a ride through a mobile application, or you can call in for folks who don't have smartphones. You can request a ride, and what the technology is doing is dispatching a vehicle to you, but very importantly is looking for other riders heading in the same direction as you, pairing you with that vehicle. And lastly, it's a corner-to-corner service. So, paratransit, for folks who are eligible for paratransit, that's a door-to-door service. You're picked up right at your door, you're dropped off somewhere where you want to go, your appointment, medical facilities, etc. In microtransit, we're actually asking passengers to walk, usually a block or two, to a nearby corner to further aggregate those passengers into the vehicle and then deliver them to their final destination, which improves system efficiency and really makes it a form of public transit.
Right. So let's talk about Metro Connect now. The county launched this, I want to say a few years ago. It started off as Go Connect, as I recall, right?
The original
morphed
brand.
into Metro Connect, just to keep up with the larger branding, Metro this, Metro that. So who do you serve?
Yep.
And how can people learn more about it?
Absolutely. So
I think we have a map that we're going to pull up, right?
Yeah, we have about 14 different zones across Miami-Dade County. I think it started with about 3 zones in October of 2020. Cutler Bay was one of the first zones launched. And the primary use at that time under the Go Connect was connecting into public transit. So about 70% of our total trips that are booked on the Metro Connect app or through the phone connect into high-capacity rail or Metro bus. And the program was so successful that when the Better Bus Network was being designed and certain routes were being eliminated from the network for being underproductive, the transit agency staff instead replaced it with Metro Connect and created what was 3 zones to now about 14 zones across the county.
Right. I think the map hopefully is being popped up on
There we go.
And as people are looking at this, they may wonder, well, why certain areas and not others? And I think you touched on some of that. It's number one, you're not here to replace something else. You're here to complement the larger system.
That's right.
So if an area is being well served by transit or perhaps by a municipal similar service in a municipality, many of whom contract with other vendors, you're not looking to replicate that, right? So these were areas that were deemed as, I don't know if we call them transit deserts, but certainly where a need existed.
That's right. It allows people to connect. It's a feeder service into the broader fixed route network, and capitalizes on the investments that are made in Metro Bus and Metro Rail by getting people to those services. Alternatively, it would be maybe a mile walk to get to Metro Rail, and that might prevent that person from taking transit altogether. So it's a way to reduce congestion and get people into transit.
And how's it been working?
It's going
How
great.
many riders would you say you have on a monthly or annual basis?
So right now, the Metro Connect service area covers about 1 million Miami-Dade residents.
Okay.
600,000 of those would otherwise not have access to reliable, high-frequency public transit. We're doing about 40,000 trips per month right now. It varies a bit by zone, of course. Certain zones have higher ridership than others. And about 75% of the trips connect directly into transit.
Okay. And so in addition to this work with the county, I understand that a couple of municipalities have kind of tapped into that to provide their residents with their local on-demand microtransit service.
Yeah.
Who are those?
So that's Cutler Bay and South Miami. So they've essentially, not to get too technical, but developed an interlocal agreement with Miami-Dade County where they're getting access to the Metro Connect program. The county is adding vehicles, that otherwise wouldn't be there based on the funding that we're receiving from the municipalities. And overall, it's increasing the connectivity of the people in those communities because they can now travel kind of anywhere within the county.
And I should note, I think the municipalities are using their share of the half-penny sales tax.
That's correct.
Towards that, right?
That's correct.
Excellent. Shout out to Cutler Bay and South Miami. And we're here in South Miami. So I think we're having conversations with the Millers earlier about how that could connect people from this very building to the Metro Rail a few blocks away, right?
That's right. And one of the interesting things about the Metro Connect app experience, and I encourage people to try it, is when you plan your journey in the Metro Connect app, you also get bus and rail instructions. So if you go to book a ride and let's say there's not a vehicle available because it's at 8 o'clock at night and we don't run service, through the app, you'll actually get a journey plan to bus or rail, help you find walking directions, help you access those services. So we've actually found that people who want to use on demand but haven't used the bus in the past all of a sudden are exposed to public transit more broadly and can utilize those services because they're more familiar with it now.
So we talked about technology.
Yeah.
Right. You really are a technology company at the end of the day, right? Technology keeps evolving.
Yeah.
And I know we've been talking a long time about autonomous vehicles, for instance. So what do you see happening in that space? Are you going to go autonomous at some point? Are we there yet? Is it a few years out? What's your best guess?
There's been a lot of podcasts where this very question has been answered. Yeah. I think it's a fascinating topic. And I think in the last year or so, we've seen companies like Tesla and Google really take a big step forward in this direction. And we're excited about that. I think that the Via as a company has done about a dozen on-demand public transit autonomous services across the country. Arizona has been a very popular state for these types of services. We've done something in Australia, actually, with autonomous vehicles, booked on demand. And even here in Miami, for a while, we ran a fleet of up to 10 autonomous vehicles in partnership with May Mobility. Some
fully autonomous, or was there
was a safety attendant in the vehicle? And I think a big part of the program was mapping Miami's cities for future use, later on. So it was a bit of a pilot program, and I think there's a real role for autonomy in public transit, so long as fixed route continues to be the backbone. I think the future we want to avoid is robo-taxis everywhere. I'm not sure that really reduces congestion and solves some of our...
Just replacing one car with another. Really,
exactly. I heard one executive say we carry a lot of empty air. But we're excited about that future, and I think it'll continue to develop in the next 3 or 4 years.
3 or 4. Wow. Any other kind of technological initiatives or innovations that are on the near horizon that you're looking into?
So I think... look, everyone's conversation is about AI right now, and the question that we often get asked is, what is the role of AI in public transit? And there's probably 12 different ways to answer that question. The two things that
we'll pretend I was smart enough to ask that. So go ahead.
Yeah.
What is the role of AI in transit?
Excellent question. I think we see AI as facilitating two primary functions. One is the rider experience. So you can imagine a world where a rider is trying to navigate a system that is unfamiliar to them. They fly into a new city, they're trying to navigate a system. Right now, you have to kind of know what app to download. You kind of have to know what the signs say. It's a little bit challenging. With AI, you could call someone and have a conversation, call an AI and have a conversation. Here's where I want to go. How do I get there? It's a little bit more of a interactive experience. You can imagine for a paratransit customer right now, call centers close at 8 o'clock. If you forgot to cancel your ride, you got to call at 6 a.m. Otherwise you get penalized. So why don't you call at midnight because you're awake at midnight? And so the conversational aspect of the rider experience, I think, will be a meaningful change. The other thing that is more interesting to me as a planning geek is that we have billions and billions of data points on how people use public transit. And what's really interesting is that when you show people multiple modes, so here's a bike, here's a transit, here's a walking option, what do people pick and why? And is it raining or is it sunny? And those individual choices, when you use a neural network, when you use AI to extrapolate how people make decisions, allow you to design really, really interesting transit options that are based on people's actual behavior versus, potentially old census data, which is kind of how we do it today. So really exciting about planning transit networks using AI, using predictive analytics, and really excited about the customer experience benefits.
Yeah, it's really exciting time to be in this space, right? I think back to when the car was invented.
Yeah.
There's just so many new technologies kind of rolling out on a regular basis, and it takes society sometimes, a little bit to adapt to that. And I think that's where we're at now. So I don't know how well we're adapting to it, but we really don't have a choice.
I think we'll learn a lot, and it'll allow government to put out really innovative solutions very fast.
Yeah.
And I think that's a good thing.
And be more efficient, right? That's kind of the term du jour these days, efficiency. How do we squeeze out the most return on our public investment?
I think that's totally right. And how do we make sure that the services that we're providing to residents who really need it, folks, about half of our Metro Connect riders, as an example, have an annual household income of less than $50,000. So this has become a real essential lifeline. Of course, there's technology. Of course, it's a modern experience. Of course, the rider experience is truly excellent. But the people who are using it are the folks who wouldn't otherwise have a way to access the public transit network other than walking a mile or two in the Miami weather, which we all know is a challenge.
Yeah, so I don't know if people know you're out of New York, and you picked just the loveliest month to come visit us here in Miami. Between the heat, humidity, and the monsoons.
I couldn't possibly pass up the invite from...
It's all right. We have good air conditioning here at least. So tell us about yourself, Mike. You born and raised in New York?
Born and raised in New York. Lot of friends here in Miami, so I spent
like every New Yorker.
Exactly,
you know, there's a strong connection there.
Some family as well.
Yeah.
Born and raised in New York. Went to University of Michigan, and then spent some time in the Midwest. But I've been in the New York City startup ecosystem for about 15 years. My last company actually got me to VIA, where we were building neural networks, AI. We were building neural networks for enterprise primarily, but we worked with government a little bit. And I really saw there the transformational impact that AI and neural networks could have in creating government efficiency. And ultimately what we were doing were projects that helped cities make smarter decisions about land use, smarter decisions about traffic patterns and streetscapes. And it was there where I fell in love with the concept of how transit could transform communities. Came across VIA. I joined, I think we had about 15 agency partnerships at the time. And today we're north of 600. So it's been a really remarkable journey, I think.
Great ride, yeah. No pun intended.
Yeah, exactly.
So you're a Wolverine.
Yeah.
How did you go from New York to Michigan?
I went to a high school that had 100 kids in the class, and we were all in the same class since kindergarten. And I wanted something much bigger, and so I went as big as you could get. That's where I wound up in Michigan. But I went for I was a kind of a pre-med and science nerd at the time, so it was a strong program, and I fell in love with it there.
Yeah. How's the team looking this year?
We'll see.
We'll see. Oh, come on. That's not a big boast. Okay, so must not be looking too good.
We're national champions, so anything, is a cake after that.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. We're still trying to get back to it here.
Yeah.
So what else do we want to talk about? What are you reading these days? Anything interesting?
I spend a lot of time reading about transit.
Yeah.
And that, I watch your podcast quite a bit, and I think there's
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Of course. There's a lot of interesting developments happening in the industry. I think even the most legacy consultants who for a long time said, microtransit won't work, are starting to write really interesting pieces about the role of on-demand transit and autonomous vehicles in transit. So I spent a lot of time thinking and writing and reading about transit. Yeah.
Well, listen, so as good a time as any to announce to our viewers that we're actually working with the Miami Book Fair. We have this wonderful book fair here in Miami. It takes place the weekend before Thanksgiving, and we're going to have a panel of authors to talk about urban planning and transportation and mobility. So please come back in November. It's much nicer than August, and you'll be able to engage with these great authors talking about these topics. So we have, by the way, so that's Victor Dover. We have Chuck Bull from the University of Miami. Who else? We got, 3 or 4. I think we're up to 5 authors. So it's going to be a great panel. We invite you back to listen to them and to engage.
I hope you'll cut this part out, but I'll tell my boss I have a very important meeting in Miami.
You do. You have to be here.
I have to be here, yes.
Juan Muyaret, I forgot Juan, is also going to be on the panel. So what do you think about Miami, by the way? So you're connected, right? So you probably come fairly frequently, and yet you're kind of an outsider at the same time. So you have this unique perspective on our city. You know enough of it, but you're also kind of detached in a way so that you can study us a little bit. What are your thoughts on this city and its potential for growth?
To one extent, it's very similar.
Be kind. No, some New Yorkers, will tell me a little too honestly what they think about our city.
I think there's a lot of similarities in New York and a lot of differences as well. I think one of the primary similarities is very diverse city. There's a lot of different folks who come from different backgrounds from across the globe. It's very cultural, very melting pot in terms of who's here. And the other thing that I think is most interesting is that Miami and Miamians are bold, and they're willing to try new things. They're willing to take bets. They're willing to take risks. And in addition from coming from New York, I work with cities all across the U.S., Midwest, Southeast, out in the West Coast as well. And there's a certain conservatism that comes with, especially in government, that comes from trying new things, and evidenced by the autonomous vehicles that we have here. Mayor Suarez's kind of digital presence or willingness to engage is very unique, I think. And I admire the boldness.
Well, that's great to hear.
Yeah.
And we're also handsome and charming.
The best looking
thank you.
city in the world, in America. Yes.
Where in New York do you live?
Brooklyn.
Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Talk about a transformation, right?
Yeah, seriously. It's a really great place to raise a family, and transit's great. And yeah.
Wonderful. Well, Mike, anything else you want to talk about? Any shout outs, any professional organizations you're involved in?
Well, I'll be at the APTA conference in Boston, as you may be in a few weeks.
No, we have a travel freeze, so no APTA for me.
Got it. But look, I mean, shout out to the county. Honestly, I think we've been working together with Miami-Dade Public Transit for 5 years now. It's been a really, I think, mutually rewarding relationship. We've learned a lot together. We've tried new things, and ultimately, what we've been able to do is put 1 million people across the county provide 1 million people across the county with high capacity, reliable, safe, efficient public transit. And we're really excited about the continued growth of the program and also the continued investment in transit, the new BRTs and all of that is, it's a quite exciting time here.
We should note, so you mentioned BRT, we have the South Corridor Bus Rapid Transit is going to launch later this year.
Yeah.
And certainly, according to the map, many of the communities you serve, including Cutler Bay, will be connecting to that. Are there active conversations between you or your clients and the county on making those connections? Absolutely.
I mean, Cutler Bay specifically, on average, about 75% of riders connect to transit across all 14 zones. Yeah. Cutler Bay is well above that. You see the travel patterns, especially in Cutler Bay, already without the BRT, 80, 90% of people are connecting to
Transitway. I think
to Transitway, exactly. Yeah. And as a result, this will just further that connection point and I think encourage use of that BRT in a real way.
Excellent. Well, listen, Mike, I want to thank you for everything you do to help move our Miamians around. And thank you for being a guest. I know we've been trying to schedule this for some time, and the calendars finally aligned.
They did.
Appreciate it.
I'm glad I was able to
listen.
Thanks.
Thank you. Folks, that's all the time we have here on this program. You are welcome back every other Thursday from 9:30 to 10:30 to learn more about transportation, mobility, and other issues that intersect with that very important and critical topic. I want to thank our partners here at Miami's Community Newspapers for hosting and producing the program. And